Alright, good afternoon. This is Math 88, Differential Equations. This afternoon, we're going to discuss only some introductory concepts that we'll be needing all throughout the semester as we'll be learning how to, as we'll be learning what are and how to solve and how to use, of course, differential equations. So, the prerequisite of this course is, of course, you really rely heavily on your previous mathematics, namely differential calculus and integral calculus, no? So heavy gid kayo ang atong dependent sa katong mga courses or subjects such that if na-feel ninyo or if you perceive na kulang inyong foundation sa katong mga subjects, I really suggest na mag-review gid mo, no? Mag-review mo. Dili pwede na ikalimtan ninyo kibali ang inyong mga nanga-learn before. That could be last semester or last semester. Basta kay quite frankly, ang example, mag-solve natin mga examples po, no? Ang mga solutions nato, if for example, no, nato question or nato equation, nato i-solve. Honestly, bitaw, if it would contain 10 lines of solution, equations, ang differential equation lang good nga part of class is only the first 2 to 3 lines, no? Ang lines further downward after ato would be from differential calculus and integral calculus na gyud, no? So again, ang DE lang gyud bitaw nga part is the first few lines lang. And then na dayon, calculus na dayon after, no? So calculus, of course, algebra and trigo. Diha gid mag-depend ang atong pag-study of differential equations, no? So inyo lang nang ma-appreciate or ma-understand ang giingon karon when we'll be doing or when we'll be solving na, no, in differential equations. So of course, first ato sa i-define what is a differential equation or what are differential equations. Naman today, why do we study differential equations? So siguro ato i-define simply lang sa ang differential equation. We'll have a working definition for that one. A differential equation is an equation involving an unknown function and its derivatives. Okay? So, marking ane, no? If an algebraic equation is composed of plainly unknowns, ang differential equation is composed of not only x's and y's, but also rates of changes or derivatives. Okay? So before sa differential calculus, mag-solve mo na to ang derivative, di ba? Natay given equation, then solve na tong derivative. So answer is it's in the form of a number. So dili, natay differential equation composed of unknowns and differentials. Ang solution niya is a function that will satisfy the differential equation. No? So first and foremost, why do we study differential equations? So akong gibutang dili to understand nature and design and create systems. And of course, kita engineering students man ta naman ta sa engineering field to solve engineering problems. Why? No? Because we have physical systems all around us. No? What are examples of physical systems? We have two kinds, no? The natural system and the man-made system. Natural system, tanan butang atong ma-observe sa nature, sa universe. It may be physical systems, biological systems, economic systems, no, financial systems. Tanan klase nga system nga observe nato in nature. Those are one example of physical system. Another could be man-made systems or built systems or engineered systems. Now, for us to understand nature or to be able to manipulate or design or create, no, man-made systems, the first thing for us to do is to extract, no, a model out of that physical system, no? The same good gyapon na mag-build ta or mag-design ta og building, dili man ta diretso mo masa og semento then i-assemble na din ang mga mga hollow blocks, di ba? So kinahanglan pa man ta og working model or plan. So diha na din mo gawas ang atong uh, floor plan, no? Layout, i-drawing. So ang atong drawing muna ang model sa atong i-build nga building. So drawings and figures are one of the things that could model real world systems. Another could be mathematical models, no? So dili mo ni ang atong path, no? So there are different types of models that we could use to understand nature or to design systems. Drawings and figures are one. Miniature models are another. But today, or more specifically for this course, we'll be using mathematical models. And these mathematical models will be in the form of differential equations, because differential equations more accurately capture a physical system or a man-made system more accurately compared to just plain algebraic equations, no? So this mathematical model that we'll be using is in the form of a differential equation, no? So whether atong gusto is to design a system in the form of that mathematical model, or to just understand nature, no? Dapat atong i-solve ang atong mathematical model. That's why we will use the methods ng atong ma-learn sa differential equations to solve the mathematical model, no? So we have then a mathematical solution out of the solved mathematical model. And ang atong mathematical solution then is atong i-interpret for us to now understand or manipulate or design a system. Understand or manipulate nature, or to understand system, or to design systems, no? So sa kaning four block diagrams nga atong i-layout sa atong slide, more time ang atong i-devote sa kaning second and third, and in between the second and third nga blocks, no? The formulation of the mathematical model and the solution of that mathematical model. All right? Questions so far? Sabtan pa? Sabtan ba, no? Okay pa man siguro to.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the response. Next slide. So what are examples of differential equations? Because again, we use mathematical models to either understand nature or to design engineering systems, or in this case, describe engineering systems. Laid out are just some examples, no? Actually, virtually anything that you could see in our physical world, again, pwede kayo natubuhatan ng differential equation. So these are just some examples, no? Gravity, okay? Newton defined gravity to differential equations. Kaya atong gipanggamit sa physics nga mga equations, no? Gi-simplify na siya, but originally those really are differential equations, no? So ba na dire. Okay, the spring mass system galing nasa fourth na panel, okay? Circuits, no? If ever na electrical engineering students today or mechanical engineering, electrical circuits could be modeled by differential equations. Okay? Napakani dito, not necessarily engineering systems, but a natural phenomenon. Predator-prey model could be described using a differential equation. No, so anything that is occurring in nature could be modeled using a differential equation. So karon pa nato i-define yun, no? What are differential equations then? Simply saying, differential equations or DEs or DFQs are equations that have differentials. So yun na kayo pagka-define. Differential equations are equations that contain differentials. So what are differentials? Okay, mo matuto na learn sa calculus. Differentials are anything that describes change, di ba? Any function that describes change. DEs are equations such that its solution is a function that satisfies the said equation. Okay, so we'll get back to this second definition ato ning balikan later or in a while. So kung ato i-solve ang differential equation, ay ang solution is a function such that ang function ato i substitute back sa differential equation, it will satisfy the equation. No? Understand natin later when we'll try to solve some examples. Okay, so don't worry. So on the right are some examples of differential equations. No? Ang common denominator nila tanan is that they have differentials. So what are the differentials in these equations? Okay, like for example, kani y prime is equal to cosine x. So na-mo siyang differential equation because it has this parameter y prime. Okay. Sa ikaduha, y double prime plus 9y is equal to e to the power of negative 2x. So DE siya or differential equation because na siya y double prime. The same sa gihapon sa ika-third nga equation, y prime times y triple prime minus 3 halves of y prime squared is equal to 0. And another one, so ano ipag-read gani? Second partial derivative of u with respect to x plus second partial derivative of u with respect to y is equal to 0. So a partial differential equation is also, of course, an example of a differential equation. So we could classify differential equations according to its type. No? So we have two types of differential equations. We have the ordinary differential equations and the partial differential equations. I think it's quite obvious what are the difference between the two, or what is the difference between the two, I mean. So, of course, kung partial differential equation, na siya ay partial derivatives. And I'm sure you've encountered partial derivatives before. So, that symbol, the symbol for partial differentiation, is what we'll be using to determine what if kana nga equation is a partial differential equation. So if dili siya partial DE, it's an ordinary DE or ODE. So for the context of this course, we'll only be focusing on ordinary differential equations or how to solve ordinary differential equations. Okay? I hope that's clear. Now, even though we'll be focusing only on ordinary differential equations, there are some processes when we'll be solving ODEs that need partial derivatives. No? So although na processes nga magamit ang partial differentiation, pero gamito na to nga process of partial differentiation to solve only ODEs. So dili ta sa mag study of partial differential equations, no? So ordinary differential equations lang. Okay? Kay medyo complex na ang partial differential equation. It will need advanced engineering mathematics to solve partial differential equations. But then again, there are some processes that need partial differentiation to solve ordinary differential equations. Okay? Differential equations can also be classified according to its order. Okay? This is a very important term, the order of a differential equation. Why? Muna ang pinakauna na nga pangitaon, the order of the differential equation, because diha na to mabalaan kung unsa nga method ang atong gamiton for us to solve that differential equation. So kibale, we'll be learning in this course or we'll be forming our own set of toolbox, no? Natay atong mga set of tools, mag-learn tag mga differential equation solving tools, then para mabalaan nato how to unsaon pag-solve ang isa ka differential equation, ang pinakauna gid bitaw nga i-determine siyang order. Okay? So the order of a differential equation is the highest derivative that occurs in that equation. Okay? So natay using the same for equations. Equation number 1 would be a first order kay y prime naman. The second equation would be y double prime because second order, I mean, because na siya y double prime. The third equation, timing po kayo, is a third order because na siya y triple prime, and so on and so forth. Ang kaninga partial differential equation would be of the second order gihapon. Okay? Kay second partial derivative man eh. No? Differential equations can also be classified according to its degree. Okay? So, lahat itong order earlier, lahat walang degree. Secondary na noon ni siya nga determinant, no, for us to solve differential equations. After na to ma-determine what method we'll be using, para mas ma-simplify further, we need to determine the degree para mas makabalo pa kita unsa nga mga set of tools gihapon ang gamiton sa pag-solve. No? So, the same gihapon sa order. So, para dali tayo mailhan, or for us to easily remember how to determine the order, ang pinakataas lang nga derivative. Okay? Ang pinakataas nga derivative. Sa degree, kung unsa nga power to gi-raise ang highest derivative, mo to nga degree. Okay? So, well, unfortunately, for these 4 examples, these are all first order differential equations. Nga naman, all of their highest degrees are raised to the first power lang man. No? So, what if, no, let's focus on equation number 1, or differential equation number 1, y prime is equal to cosine x. What if this is y prime squared is equal to cosine x? So, this is a first order second degree. Yan na. Okay. So, yan na lang, no? Ang order, ang mamagin ng pinaka nato pangitaunon kung sa siya nga order, meaning yung highest derivative lang. Ang yang degree, kung what power gi-raise ang highest derivative, mo na yung degree. Okay? So, I hope that's clear. Okay, these can also be stated either explicitly or implicitly. Ang explicit form, or more particularly if ang solution na siguro ganit nino, if ang highest order siguro is only found, or siya lang ang makita sa left side of the equation, then it's a differential equation in the explicit form. Okay, so in this example, y prime is equal to a function of x and y. No? So si y prime lang ang nasa pikas. Okay? So, ang implicit form is if mag-jumble-jumble ang mga derivatives of mga unknowns, mga independent variables and dependent variables. So, normally, although not all of the time, ang given nga differential equation will be in the implicit form. Okay? So, again, normally, ang given nga differential equation, or ang ato ma-formulate na differential equation out from a particular situation is in the implicit form. Okay? A function of x and y, or a function of all the derivatives, is equal to 0. So that's an implicit form. So ato na siyang ma-solve. And again, normally, the solution would be in the form of, would be in the explicit form. Okay? Y is equal to something, or y is equal to a function of x and y. No? Or a function of x lang. No? Yan na. So, dali lang na siya makuan, no? Minor lang ni siya nga kuan, nga matter. But sometimes ang mag-arise ng question ani is unsa nga form ang final answer, sir. Okay. So, I would very much prefer if the final answer would be in the explicit form. Okay. One variable would be equal to a function. So, explicit form. But honestly, there are some solutions that would be difficult to be expressed in its explicit form. So, okay ra kung implicit ang final answer. Pero if medyo obvious, gilagid bitaw siya, no? Medyo obvious na siya nga pwede na ma-extract ang yung explicit form. I would very much prefer that all our final answers would be in the explicit form. Okay? So, there's also such a thing that we call, in this course, no? Differential equations, that we call initial value problems. Now, when solving differential equations, we usually find the general solution. Okay? So, to find the unique or the particular solution, the general function will be subjected to initial conditions. So, what are examples of initial conditions? So, in this given, sa right portion sa slide, y prime is equal to 3y. Okay? Or dy over dx is equal to 3y. Where y at 0, so ang paglida na is y at 0 is equal to 5.7. So the y at 0 is equal to 5.7. That's the initial value. So problems that contain initial value are, of course, initial value problems. Or sometimes, more specifically, initial values are referred to as initial value conditions or IVCs. Okay? So basig maka-mention bitaw ko pohon og IVC, initial value conditions na sila. Meaning, ang final answer is subject pa gyud og initial values for us to determine the initial the particular solution, no? Sometimes ang initial value conditions are used to determine the arbitrary constants, no? So take note lang na siya, no? That would be helpful in the future. Kailangan ko magyapon ning ibalik, no? But again, initial value conditions would be very or would be needed. I mean, initial value conditions would be needed to solve for the specific values of arbitrary constants. Whatever those arbitrary constants are, ato na siya ma-encounter po. For example, mag-solve ta og mag-solve ta integral, solve na to ang integral sa isa ka function, di ba? So, kadamdam mo kung indefinite integral, what's the difference between an indefinite integral and a definite integral nga problem? Sige daw. Would like to, pwede lang nyo i-type sa chat box or on yung mic kung gusto mo storya. So, difference man, indefinite integral and definite integral problems.
Sir,
Uy, yes, kinsa man si Gio.
kung sa ang definite integral, sir, kay nasa limits, sir. Nga ang definite integral kay walay limits, sir.
Okay, very good. Isa pa, kung sa solution or ang final answer, unsay final answer sa indefinite integral, unsay kalahian niya na ay
plus C.
Okay, very good. No. Whoever man to nagtubag, that's it. That's the correct answer na plus C, di ba? So, kung analogy man lang, no, if analogy siya, ang katong limits nga i-apply na to sa differential, sa definite integral, mo to ang initial values, no, mo to initial value conditions na marigyan na ang initial value conditions kung sa DE man lang, no, na limits. If kabantay mo nawala ang plus C basta solution sa definite integral. So kanang plus C kung sa DE pa mo na itong ginatawag nga arbitrary constant. So, kinahanglan tawag initial value condition for us to solve for the arbitrary constants. Okay? Question so far?
Ay, sir.
Yes.
Katong definition mo, sir, ba? Kaning sa meaning sa kanang DPQs.
Apala na, malaglaylahay lang nga term na term sa differential equation, no? Either differential equation, of course, or DE or DPQ. So, yan na sa gawas manggod basig maka-encounter sa mga labi na mga US nga mga sites, may counter na to na siya nga term DPQ. Ilang pasabutan na is differential equation.
Okay.
Pero sa ato DE, no, DE. Solve tag DE. Yan na. Okay? Okay. Thank you for that question. Sige. Try tag daw. Solve some examples. Order. Okay. So, i-off na ako akong share screen. If you direct your attention to my other camera, kita ninyo akong hand?
Yes, sir.
Huwag akong pen and paper. Okay, thank you. Sige. Okay. Okay. Estrada mode is sulat no. Okay. Notation. Okay. What are the notations that we'll be using in this course, no? So to describe, no, or diba? Yeah, to describe differentials or to express differentials, normal nga maka-encounter ta og ani, no? Y prime, y double prime, y triple prime. Kung to the fourth nga differential is na siya ani. So di na siya y to the power of 4, but the fourth derivative ni siya, no? Or yeah, fourth derivative na siya. So ani. And so on and so forth. Okay? So usahay, depende nila muna sa convenience or sa given ganit, no? But ako, mas prefer ko nga mag-use aning notation. Okay? D over dx of y, meaning this is the first derivative, di ba? Okay. Yeah, pareho na sila. No? If second derivative, yan na. Okay? Kung third derivative or fourth derivative, so on and so forth, yan na. Okay? Basig, malibog mo nga, yan akong pag-express sa differentials kay usahay dy over dx. Yan naman sa una, di ba? So, palagyapon eh. So, dili ni d squared y over dx squared, this is the second derivative of y. Yan na pag-read ani. So, the second derivative of y, the fourth derivative of y with respect to x. Okay? So, yan na. So, ba? Now, there will be times, no? I'm not, dili pug ko necessarily ga-use yun ani. But kasi maka-encounter mo mga differential equations ng mga models in the future or even mga given nga examples na ing ani, no? That notation, that lang gamit. So first derivative na siya. Okay? So kani second derivative, kani third derivative, so on and so forth, no? So basig na yung mga differential equations bitaw nga magamit og that notation, mo ipasabutan na. Kung pila book that sa taas, muna iyahang order, no? Muna siya ang iyahang kapila ba siya nga derivative. Okay? So much for notation. At least na-set lang nato, no, ang the usual nga ginagamit nako nga notation. Na solution, the solution of a differential equation ato itong na-define ganina, no, is a function that satisfies the differential equation. So kani kuan lang ni nga examples, no, mahulog nga this is just a confirmation nga example, no? Not necessarily a method of differential equation per se, but a confirmation, no? For example, pohon natay given nga differential equation. The given nga differential equation would be a function of x, y, y prime, so on and so forth, no? And natay solution, y of x is equal to something, function of x, no? So how do we know? How do we know if the function of x is a solution? So if this is the given, this is the solution. How do we know if the solution is, or how do we know if the the determined solution is actually an actual solution of the differential equation. So atong A, of course, is substitute. No? The same are good gyapon na sa kuan ng algebra, di ba? If not given tag points, how do you know if those 2 points are or is a solution of the function? So i-substitute ang points sa function. So the same gyapon sa differential equation. No? So to start, example, given tag differential equation, y double prime plus 4y is equal to 0. Okay? So, I think may encounters siguro na ito ni constantly. Kani siya nga differential equation. What's the order? Say order ani nga differential equation. Of course, this is an ordinary, no? Differential equation. Say order niya.
Second order.
Second order. Okay, very good. Because
Y double prime.
y double prime. Y
Prime.
double prime. Very good. Degree. Ano yung degree?
Degree 1.
First
First
degree.
degree.
Okay, first degree because wala. Raised to the first power lang man eh. Wala mo ni siya nagpa-square or something. Okay? So, good. So, second order, first degree. Ordinary differential equation. So, dili sa nato ni i-solve. Okay? Or dili sa nato i-learn so pag-solve ani. Okay? Actually, ang mga second order differential equations would be dito pa siguro sa just before midterm, no? Layo pa ang pagtuon nato sa pag-solve ani, no? So a possible solution, possible would be this one. Y of x or y is equal to c1 sine of 2x plus c2 cosine 2x. Okay? Where c1 and c2 are arbitrary. Okay. C1 and C2 are arbitrary constants. C1 and C2 are arbitrary constants. Okay? So how do you know if this is indeed a solution of this differential equation? Substitute, no? Mora, i-substitute lang nato if indeed mag-equal siya og 0. Okay? So, saan natin pag-substitute? Si y man eh. Kibali, this is y. Kibali, this is y is equal to c1 sine 2x plus c2 cosine x. Natay y. Where will we get y double prime? So, ato ning derive. Ikaduha. So, if the given solution is equal to y is equal to c1 sine 2x plus c2 cosine 2x, what's the first derivative? So, dapat again, memorize na ha. First derivative ani is
Cosine 2.
cosine, no? Cosine 2x. But mag-chain rule man eh. So, magawa si 2. Diba? 2 c1 sine, cosine 2x minus 2
Negative 2. Side.
2 c2. T2 pa. Sine
Sine
2x.
2x.
Okay. Ayun na din ni x day, oh. Okay, very good. So, yung second derivative is negative 4 na nino, negative 4 ni siya. Negative 4 c1 sine balik
Sine 2x.
kani negative ka. Please ko sa mic.
Minus ka bang sir?
Thank you. So, negative 4
cosine
c2
C2 cos 2x.
cos 2x. Be? Sakto na?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So, positive na siya. Okay, that's correct. Na. So, muna yung mga derivatives na to. So, ipang substitute lang natin sa original equation. So, y double prime plus 4 times y. So, kibali, dili magamit si y prime is equal to 0. Kaya ito, tanawon kung indeed mo, tali bagay siya 0. Okay. So, sa itong given, y double prime plus 4y is equal to 0. Y double prime, kani siya. Okay. Negative 4 C1 sin 2x minus 4 C2 cos 2x plus 4y plus 4 times what is y? This one. 4 C1 sin 2x plus C2 cos 2x is equal to 0. Ma-distribute po ni si 4. I think medyo obvious naman siguro, no? Cancel out? Yes, cancel out. Cancel gapon.
Cancel out.
Okay, so indeed, 0. Conclusion, this is a solution of this differential equation. So, ingana lang, no? Ingana lang ang pag-prove or pag-check. Okay, pag-check. Pag-confirm if ang solution ba is, if ang na-solve ba na solution is indeed a solution, truly a solution of a given differential equation. Okay? So, sige daw. On your own, hatag ko given, a first order, fourth degree differential equation. Y prime to the power of 4. So, first order, fourth degree. Plus y squared is equal to negative 1. Prove if this is its solution. Y is equal to x squared minus 1. Sige daw. On your own, mga 5 minutes. Na din naka-conclude? Solution ba ni siya, ane? Okay guys, kasi ni answer ano eh.
Ano kaya siya sa libog? Hindi.
Ibog. Na. Dili pa biya ni DE, no? Pan eh. Diffcal. Differential calculus pa eh.
Sa
So,
ako, sir, dili siya equal.
ito man eh, si...
Everest to, sir.
Okay. Hindi siya equal. Ano naman?
Akong
Okay,
gi-kuha na akong first derivative, sir, sa 2x. Tapos,
2x. Tapos,
gi-substitute din ako, sir.
shoot. Okay. So, mahulog. Substitute na natin dito. 2x to the power of 4 plus y squared. And since this is y, plus x squared minus 1 squared. Right? Equal to negative 1. No? So, kanina may maning 16x to the power of 4 man 16x to the power of 4 plus may maning yan ang polynomial plus something something. Even if solve not near dili, for sure kani alone di man ni ma 17x to the power of 4 man for sure dili na wala na may ma-cancel ana, dili na siya equal to negative 1. So yes, the correct conclusion is that no, this is not a solution of the given differential equation. Okay? Nakuha? Yato lang to ang pagkuan. Ang process nga gigamit dire is the same man ko kanina, no? I-evaluate lang yun depende sa required sa order sa atong differential equation. And then substitute lang, no? And then i-determine lang kung mo equate ba gid siya. So na-prove na to sa kanang example nga dili. Okay? So yan na lagi na siya. So maybe later mag-post ko some examples para ma-solve ninyo. So I hope that's clear or ma-made clear pa na more kung mag-solve mo more examples. So next question is, how to evaluate then initial value conditions? Okay. So given taog equation or function. No? So delete na siya differential equation. Okay. So I'm guessing this is a solution of a second order differential equation. Okay. So this is a possible solution of a second order differential equation. We do not know based on given kung unsa to nga differential equation, but given tag initial value conditions. So these are what we call these are what we call initial value conditions, no? All the more nga na-prove na noon nga second order differential equations gid ang or solution ni siya sa second order differential equation because na siya given nga duha initial value condition. Okay? So i-kuan lang remember lang na the number of initial value conditions should correspond to the order of the differential equation. Okay? So the number of initial value condition should be equal to the order of the differential equation. Dapat mag-correspond na sila. Kung manobra, mas maayo. Pero kung makulang, if makulang gani, di mapareha, dili na to ma-solve ang particular solution sa atong DE. Okay? So, this is just what we call a general solution pa. No? So, general solution pa na siya. General solution. After applying the initial value conditions to our differential equation, we would obtain the particular solution or the specific solution. Okay? Sige, we'll try to evaluate this function and subject it with the initial value conditions. No? Ang atong objective now is for us to determine the values of C1 and C2. Okay? Again, ako lang i-reiterate. This is the general solution. Okay? Y is equal to C1 e to the power of 2x plus C2 e to the power of x plus 2 sine x. After obtaining the actual values of C1 and C2, makuha na to ang particular solution. Okay? Sige. So, actually, ikaw naman na to. I-substitute, given man ta og initial value conditions, y of 0 is equal to 0. And y prime of 0 is equal to 1. So, natong gamiton. Kanisa at first atong gamiton. Y of 0 is 0. So, substitute all x's by 0 and y with 0. Okay? So, kana siya, kanang nasa sulod, munang value sa x. Okay? So, substitute all x's by 0. And then equate to 0. Kani nga kuan. So, equation. So, this becomes C1 e to the power of 2 times 0 plus C2 e to the power of 0 plus 2 sine of 0 is equal to 0. So, what's e to the power of 0?
Wala man ata sir.
1, sir.
Ay, 1 day.
1.
Sir, 1.
Okay, this is 1. This is 1. What sign of 0? Sign of 0?
0.
0, sir.
0.
No, sir.
0. Okay. So 2 times 0 is 0. We'll be left with C1 plus C2 is equal to 0. Okay? 1 man eh. 1 man po ni. Kani 0. So, natay equation 1. Next. Common eh. No? A linear equation. Two unknowns. So, kailangan pa isa pa ka equation pa para ma-solve ni. Ano na ito na kwaon sa atong sa second value initial value condition. So, if y prime of 0 is equal to 1, ato sa pangitaon si y prime. So, ato sa ning pangitaon ang first derivative ani. No? What's the first derivative ani? 2 C1 e 2x. Sakto no?
Yes, sir.
Plus, kaya naman eh.
EX, ayaban din.
C2 e to the power of x. Sine is cosine. Plus 2 cosine x. Okay. So what's the second initial value? Y prime of 0 is equal to 1. So substitute all x's with 0 and equate to 1. So tanan x kay imong 0 gihapon. This becomes 2 C1 e to the power of 2 times 0 plus C2 e to the power of 0 plus 2 cosine of 0 is equal to 1. Okay? Equal to 1 man. Y prime of 0. This is y prime of 0 equal to 1. Cosine of 0.
1, sir.
1. Okay, very good. So the same ane. 1.
1.
1,
We'll be left with
2,
C1 plus C2 plus 2 is equal to 1.
Equals.
Or 2C1 plus C2 is equal to negative 1. Equation 2. Simultaneously solve. Pwede mo gamit calculator, substitution method, or whatever. So, para paspas, calculator lang nato ni. C1 plus C2 equal to 0 and 2C1 plus C2 equal to negative 1. One, sa mga coefficient. 1, 1, 0, 2, 1, negative 1. C1 is negative 1, C2 is 1. C1 is negative 1, C2 is 1. Final answer. So, i-substitute lang ni balik. Kani sila. Substitute na to sa atong general solution. Si C1 would now be equal to negative 1 and si C2 is 1. So, our particular solution now, our particular solution would be
Negative 1.
negative 1 or negative e to the power of 2x plus e to the power of x. Kulang ko din eh. 2 sin x. So, final answer. Okay?
Sir, yun dyan, huwag kining substitute, sir. Ang dili calculator.
Kung dili calculator,
Sir.
kani nga part,
Sir.
kuan. Pwede ni siya sa tawag niya ng cancel. Substitution, elimination. C1 plus C2 is equal to 0. Negative na ako. Negative
Minus.
2C1 minus C2 is equal to positive 1. Oops. Cancel. I-plus.
Negative C1.
Negative C1 is equal to 1. Or C1 is equal to negative 1. And then, i-substitute lang ni back dito. If C1 is negative 1, C2 is positive 1.
Positive 1.
So, kung man algebra man di ba? So, if I were you, try to study how to use your calculator because that will come in handy very much, especially sa DE. How to simultaneously solve systems of linear equations. Two equations to unknowns or 3 equations to unknowns. Mabuti na pohon. 3 equations to unknowns. No? So, karon convenient pa man kay 2 equations to unknowns man magamit og substitution method or elimination. Puhon, kung lisod na, kailangan kita magamit og calculator. Okay? So, ako lang ning gi-substitute balik kani sa atong given nga general solution. So, nawala na si C1 o C2 na himong negative 1 o negative 2. So, kanada na ang final answer. Any more questions, no? So, if nagid mo yung question, alam mo hesitate to ask. No, especially even kadang mag-solve lugar ko, kasi na mo yung question mo kahit mo pop up, yun na lang ko. No? So, final practice, practice na to ni. Given ta og a function y is equal to c1 e to the power of x plus c2 x e to the power of x. plus x squared e to the power of x. This is our solution, general solution. Kaya na po man si C1 to C2. With initial conditions, y is y at 1 is equal to 1 and y prime of 1 is equal to negative 1. Sige daw. Try to solve this on your own for 10 minutes. C1 EX plus C2 XEX plus X squared EX. Y1 is equal to 1, Y prime 1 is equal to negative 1. Sige daw. Okay? Ano nakakuha sa answer? Kinsa may answer sa inyo? Hmm. Ha? Wala pa kayo nakakuha? Sige ha, ito i-solve eh. Okay, chain rule, madali no?
Yes, sir.
Kaya naman eh. Ay, chain rule, product rule eh. Be, y prime. At sa isolve na ang first derivative para sa yun. First derivative, y prime. Same, c1 e to power of x. Kani plus c2
EX plus EX.
ex
Plus e to the x, x.
so ito derivative ani times kana plus x ex. Okay. Plus 2x
2x EX.
ex
X squared e to the x.
Okay. So muna siya. No? So kanisa atong first i-subject og kuan, no? Kung dire tools. Na. Substitute 1 equates to 1. So this becomes C1 times E
Plus C2 times E.
plus E.
Plus
Equal to
2E plus E.
Oh, wait. Ayan. E naman eh. I-substitute mo naman yung 1 ang X. Kaya lang. Is equal to 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. 1. Alagay, sakto na eh. Sakto na simplify. No? Common man si E. I-transpose niya siya dito. Then common man si E sa ilang duha. E C1 plus C2 is equal to 1 minus E. Kabalo man tanong nga, ang E is a constant. 2 point something.
2.17, 21,
2.71. So, divide all sides by E. C1 plus C2 is equal to 1 over E minus 1. Yan na. Or pwede na gud gyapon na ito na ihimong kuan. Negative 0.6212. Yan na. Next. Equation number 2. Substitute 1 sa mga x's and equate to negative 1. So this becomes still C1 plus C2 E plus E. Okay. Cx may maling 1.
Walang E, sir. E sa C1.
Yeah, sakto. Plus
2E.
2E.
Plus E.
2E plus E.
E.
Is equal to negative 1.
Negative 1.
Okay. So simplify. Three E man eh. Negative 1 minus 3E. Okay. Divide both sides by E. Gyapon. So C1 plus C2 is equal to negative 1 over E minus 3. Or approximately equal to...
Sir, nawala lagi yung 2, sir.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, by 2, sir.
Thank you. Kanino? Negative 1 over E minus 3.
Negative 2.6.
Negative 3.37.
6, 8. Ayan na, no, more or less. So this is our equation 1. That's our equation 2. Yeah. So, simultaneously solving this sa calculator, it will yield C1. Okay. Calculator na to ha. So, yun eh. 1 over E. Exact lang na ako. Minus 1. 1, 2. Negative 1 over E minus 3. So C1 is 2.104. While C2 is negative 2.736. And wala na siyang final answer, no? Di na ako na-substitute balik dire para mangyapon. So this becomes negative 2.104 e to the power of x plus or minus 2.736 times x times e to the power of x plus x squared e to the power of x. Ang important naman nga part is ma-determine ang arbitrary constants. This will be our final answer.
Sir, kanang
Okay.
sa equation 1, sir, wag ka ng color green nga, i-highlight nimo.
Kani?
Okay, kanang ang answer ba, 0.6321 kung sir, no? Dyan ang value sa E mo
E.
butang mo 2.71 kung something, sir, no? Ayun, muna na, okay, sir.
Mo din iyahang equivalent. Sige. Okay, any more questions? Is this clear ba? Kung saan pag-evaluate og initial value conditions? So wala
Yes,
pa. Okay, so wala pa to naabot sa differential equations proper, no? Mga preliminaries na ni siya. Mga concepts that we'll be needing to solve DEs in the future. Starting with next meeting, no? So whatever atong na-discuss this afternoon, mag-post siguro ko og mga some sample exercises nga nyo i-solve. Okay? So, tanalang mo sa e-learn. No?
Fernan, sa YouTube, ni sir, no? Ang karon record na
Yes.
presentation, sir.
Kani nga atong or today, this afternoon's session, ako i-post ang link sa e-learn. Link to siya sa YouTube na video. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sige. Stop na ako record. So, mali. Bitaw, any more questions? If wala na so far, di regarding sa kuan, sa atong na-discuss. Basta na po may other questions pa nga related sa atong klase.
Basta ang una, sir, kay tanahan mo siya sa lugar, if pwede mo siya ma-change rule or mga padakrol na tanahan mo ang equation down, sir, kung sa mga ways sa pag-derive, sir, no? Para dali na.
So to again?
Kanang sa pagtanahan mo sa equation, sir, magamitan niyo mga technique sa differential calculus nga mga chain rule or katong mga power rule nana, sir, ba? Depende sa equation.
Depende sa given,
Okay, sir.
Mm-hmm.